Hello, everyone. So, I hope your studies are going amazing and you are keeping up to your targets and all. So, in the last video that I had uploaded, I had discussed the chapter Management and Administration. But what I have discussed in that was I had discussed from section 96 to 122 a recap of the entire chapter. Today's lectures, what we are going to discuss is we are going to discuss the all the previous year questions, RTP questions, mock test questions that have been asked from section 96 to 122. So we'll start with that. MCQs, I'm not doing it because MCQs, I'll keep a separate session only for MCQs where we are going to discuss only the MCQs. So I'm at section 86 to 95. I'm not discussing it here. That I will be discussing it in a separate video after I have done a recap of those sections. So I'll start with the questions relating to your Companies Act, Chapter Management and Administration from Section 96 to 122. If these videos help you in any way, share it with your friends. Let everyone go through these questions because somewhere or the other, when we solve the questions, we get a hang of how to solve the questions. We get to know what type of questions the institute asks us, what type of answers we are supposed to write. And also, please leave a like because when you give a like to the video, it gives me a little bit of motivation to actually go make more videos. So, starting with meetings chapter. So theory questions I'll not do because theory questions I've already done in the topics in the recap of the sections. So I'll just do here the practical questions. So starting with the first one, discuss the provisions of the Companies Act regarding the time limit. And if anyone wants these documents, there is a link given below. You can join that group and you will get all the updated documents there. Discuss the provisions of the Companies Act regarding the time limit for holding the first AGM of the company. So, first AGM should be held, it's a direct question again, it should be held within 9 months from the end of the financial year. And the power of the registrar to grant extension for first AGM, he cannot grant any extension. For direct questions, I'm not going to waste my time. Nimrana Infotech Limited was incorporated on 1/4/2017. No general meeting of the company has been held so far. Explain the provisions. Obviously, this is an old question, obviously, so 2017, so 24th, obviously. Explain the provisions, but you know what? It happens in real life also, it happens that companies may not have called AGMs for years and years and years. No general meeting of the company has been held so far. Explain the provisions of the Companies Act regarding the time limit for holding the first AGM of the company and the power of the time limit for the first AGM is within 9 months from the end of the financial year. The power of the registrar to grant extension of time. A registrar has a right to grant extension of time. However, for the first AGM, the registrar cannot grant any extension of. Examine the validity of the following statement. The first AGM shall be held within a period of 6 months. This is false. It should be within a period of 9 months. The registrar may, for special reason, extend time within which the first AGM. This is again false because no extension can be granted whatsoever for the first AGM. Subsequent AGM should be held within 6 months. Yes, this is absolutely correct. The subsequent AGM must be held once in every year, within 6 months from the end of the financial year, and the maximum gap between two, not more than 15 months. There shall be a maximum interval of 15 months. This is also true, as given under section 96. Rijwan Limited, a listed company, is in the business of garment manufacturing and has its registered office as one at 123 N Tower Commercial Beta Complex, Bhiwandi, Rajasthan. The company called its sixth AGM at 3 p.m. on 22nd August at Ansal Plaza, Bhiwandi. Some of the members of the company have opposed to the calling of the meeting at Ansal Plaza. When you are a listed company, okay, the meeting should be held at the registered office or within the same city, town, or village where registered office is situated. Here, the office is situated in Bhiwandi. They did not hold it at the office, but at Ansal Plaza, Bhiwandi, which is in Bhiwandi within the same city, town, or village. Some members of the company has opposed to the calling of the meeting. Well, they are not correct. The company has approached you to advise in this regard. Suppose it's an unlisted company and want to call their sixth AGM at Jaipur. If it is an unlisted company, it can call its meeting anywhere in India, provided prior consent of all the members are taken either in writing or by electronic mode. Examine the board of directors of Shrey Limited called an EGM upon the requisition of the members. However, the meeting was adjourned on the ground that quorum. When the meeting is called at the requisition of the member and the quorum is not present, the meeting shall be cancelled. Advise the company. So, the meeting will be cancelled and the company cannot adjourn the meeting for want of quorum. TST Limited has equity share capital of 10,000 shares at rupees 10 each. The company has received a requisition from Mr. A and Mr. B, each holding 1,500 equity shares, to call an EGM to remove the MD of the company who has been found to be involved in some malpractices. So, how many members can make a requisition? Company having a share capital, members holding not less than 1/10 of the paid up share capital, as gives them a power to vote. What is the share capital? 10,000. What is what is 1/10, ma'am? 10,000 into 10, 1 lakh. So that is one, it comes to one and the same thing, only because here they have given shares. So instead of doing it into 10, I'm doing this. So at least 1,000 shares you should be holding. They are holding how many shares? Each holding 1,500. That means 3,000. Is the requisition valid? Yes. To call the EGM to remove the MD of the company who has been found to be involved in some malpractices. The company failed to call the said meeting. The requisitionists desire to call the meeting by themselves to pass the resolution to remove the MD. Explain the validity of such resolution passed in the said meeting referring to the provisions. So, is the meeting, the company failed to call the meeting, the requisitionists desire to call the meeting. Explain the validity of such. So, when the requisition is made, within 21 days, company should take steps to call the meeting. Within 45 days, the meeting should be held. If it is not held, can the requisitionists themselves call the meeting? Yes. And such a meeting is absolutely valid. Resolutions are absolutely valid. So, what is the validity of such resolution? It's absolutely valid. The next question. Primal Limited is a company incorporated in India. It owns two subsidiaries, Privy Limited, in which it holds 75%, and Malvi Limited, wholly owned subsidiary. Both are incorporated outside India. The board of directors of Primal Limited is the holding company. Intends to call an EGM on urgent basis. Advise the board on the following: EGM held in India. It can be held anywhere in India. Held in Netherlands. No. It cannot be held in Netherlands. It can be held anywhere in India. But if I was an Indian company which was a wholly owned subsidiary of a foreign company, here it's opposite. That means the subsidiary is the Indian company and the holding company is the foreign company. But here it's opposite. Here holding company is Indian company and my subsidiary is what? Foreign company, right? Or a company incorporated outside India. So this is just the opposite. So can I hold the meeting in Netherlands? No. The board of directors of a company refused to convene the extraordinary general meeting on the ground that the requisitionists have not given. When the meeting is called on the requisitionists, if they give a notice for the requisition, they don't have to tell the reason. This was also held in the case of LIC versus Escorts. They don't have to give the reason behind the requisition. The company failing to call the meeting on this ground is not valid. If the resolution is a special resolution and the requisitionists call the meeting, they have to tell that, but they don't have to give the reason behind the requisition. The board of directors refused to convene the EGM on the ground that the requisitions have not been signed by the joint holders. It is absolutely valid. When we are joint holders, each of the joint holders should sign, or any requisitionist who is authorized by the joint holders. For this authorization, also both the joint holders have to sign. And unless both the joint holders sign, it's not valid. Adjournment of EGM called upon the requisition of members on the ground that quorum was not present in the meeting. The meeting was called by the requisitionist. Adjournment is due to lack of quorum. Cannot be adjourned, not valid. This meeting shall be cancelled, but it cannot be adjourned. Best Limited has decided to conduct its AGM on 28th September. They have sent notice of the meeting on 9th September, for which they have taken consent from 90%. Comment on the validity of the notice. Notice must be sent 21 clear days before the meeting. That means the day of notice and the day of the meeting shall be excluded. So we will count from the 10th and we will count it till the 27th. We can see it's not a 21 clear days notice. If 21 clear days notice is not there, consent of 95% should be taken. Here they have taken consent of 90, not valid. So can we say the notice is not valid? Yes, the notice is not valid, right? To remove the MD, 40% of the members of Tiger Farms Limited submitted a requisition for holding an EGM. The company failed to call the meeting and hence the requisitionist held the meeting. So 40% of the members have made a requisition good. Company failed to call the meeting and hence please, ek cheez always remember, your answer is in the question only. Read the question carefully. You will automatically get your answer. You will automatically get the provisions also. And hence the requisitionist held the meeting. Since the MD did not allow the holding of the meeting at the registered office, the said meeting was held at some other place and a resolution for removal was passed. What is the validity? When the meeting is called by the requisitionist, the meeting can be held anywhere at the registered office or anywhere within the same city, town, or village where the registered office is situated. Right? It was also held in the case of R. Chettiar versus M. Chettiar that if the registered office is not made available to the requisitionist, they may call the meeting at any other place. And meeting called at any other place shall be a valid meeting. So, can we say it is absolutely valid? Correct? Abhiyogik Limited, having 1,000 members with paid up share capital 1 crore, decided to hold its annual general meeting on 21st August and it received a notice on 2nd July from its 60 members holding paid up capital of 7 lakh in aggregate for a resolution to be passed at the AGM for appointing Vedya and Company as its auditor instead of its existing auditor. So this is resolution requiring special notice, section 150. Must be sent by members holding 1% of the voting power or paid up share capital of 5 lakh, right? Or such higher amount as may be prescribed. And this notice should be sent at least 14 days before the meeting, not more than 3 months before the meeting. Which has, instead of Chepal and Company, which was originally appointed for 5 terms and have completed it 4 years term. Such a notice for resolution, so this is basically appointing someone else in place of the auditors. Such a notice for resolution was forthwith sent by the company to Chepal and Company, which gave its representation in writing. This is basically more of like, section 140 of Companies Act, which is about auditors. But chalo, it's here, so we'll discuss. Along with the request for its notification to the members of the company, but it was received too late by the company, right? A representation in writing to the company along with the request for its notification to the members, but it was received too late by the company. In this context, whether the said notice was given by adequate number of members, yes, 5 lakh rupees should be paid up. Here, the paid up was 7 lakh. Whether the company was bound to send to its members such representation made, yes, the auditors have a right to make a representation, which should be of reasonable length. And if it is of reasonable length, it should be forwarded to all the members. But due to lack of time, if it was not, the company is not in a position to forward it, in that case, it should be read at the meeting. So, what was the responsibility? So, we've already discussed. Zorab Limited served a notice upon its members. The notice stated that a resolution to increase the share capital of the company would be considered. A shareholder complained that the amount of the proposed increase was not specified. Is the notice valid? Under section 102, whenever the notice is about a special business, an explanatory statement should be attached. And this explanatory statement will contain all the additional information which is needed to the shareholder to make a decision of whether he should agree to a particular resolution or not. Since it's a special business, an explanatory statement should have been sent. Since it was not sent, can we say the notice is not valid, right? ABC Limited is an unlisted company having its registered office at Kolkata. The AGM was held at Goa. It's an unlisted company. It was held at Goa. So unlisted company can call the meeting anywhere in India, provided consent of all is taken. And concluded at 3 p.m. and concluded at 8 p.m. Consent of all the members were received by 24th June. Okay. Meeting was on 1st July. It should be prior consent, so that was done. Examine the examine the validity of the meeting. It's valid. State the consequences if a resolution is passed in meeting without sufficient disclosure. So under section 102, if any director is interested in any contract, there should be a disclosure made by him about his interest. And if he fails to do so, and if he earns any benefits, he is holding that benefit as a trustee on behalf of the company. That means that benefit should be returned back to the company. As a trustee, he is holding it. Apart from that, he is also liable to a punishment of 50,000 or 5 times the amount of benefit, whichever is higher. With a view to transact some urgent business, Ratna, Rimpi, and Ratnesh, three directors of Shilpkar Construction Limited, are desirous of calling an AGM of the shareholders by giving shorter notice than 21 clear days. The fourth director is of the opinion that such an action will attract penalty provisions since there is contravention. The paid up share capital of the company is 30 crores divided into 3 crores shares of 10 each. Keeping in view the applicable provisions, so, first of all, this is a general meeting, not an annual general meeting, right? Urgent business annual general meeting. So, if the company has a share capital and it wants to call a meeting by giving a shorter notice, can it do so? Yes. Would it? Would there be penalty provisions? No. The meeting is not valid if some things are not fulfilled. You can call a meeting by giving a shorter notice if you get the consent of, if the company has a share capital, it has a share capital. So if the consent of majority of members holding not less than 95% of the paid up share capital as gives them a power to vote. If that consent is taken, would it be a valid meeting? Yes. In that case, it would be a valid meeting. Prema director gave in writing to the company that notice for general meeting should be sent to him at his address in India only by registered mail, for which he has paid sufficient money. So here there is an involvement of section 20, which is service of post. So service of documents, which says service of documents, sorry, which says that if a member has specified a particular mode for dispatch of notice and has paid money to the company for such, then notice must be sent to him in that mode only. The company sent two notices to him of such meetings by ordinary mail and under certificate of posting. Prem did not receive the notices. Decide whether Prem did not receive and could not attend the meeting and proceedings. Decide whether the contention of Prem is valid. Yes. Would your answer be still the same if he remained outside India for 2 months? Well, even if he remained outside India for 2 months, it should be sent to his address at registered mail because company has taken sufficient money. We don't have to send the notice outside India, but still it should be sent to him by registered mail only. Glowing Products Limited wishes to sell one of its line of business and decides to call an EGM and to pass a resolution. Okay, so this is you just have to quote 102. I'm not going into that. I told you. Query questions, I'm not going. The date of approval of financial statement by the Board of Directors is 17 July and the date of notice is 25th August. Accountant of KMP had advised the time gap between the date of approval of financial statement and the date of notice should be 45 days. Well, as such, Act does not say anything. Approval by the Board of Directors and the notice. As such, there is no gap required at all. As per law, no such gap has been provided. So we don't have any such provisions of a gap of time. But yes, we have to make sure that the notice has to be sent at least 21 clear. So we have to make sure that we maintain a gap of at least 21 clear days from the date of the notice and the date of the meeting. But for this approval of financial statement and dispatch of notice, there is no time period given. Madurai Limited issued a notice for holding its AGM on 7th November. The notice was posted to the members on 16th October. Some members of the company alleged that the company has not complied with the provisions with regard to the period of notice. Okay. Notice must be sent at least 21 clear days before the meeting. And we already know the word clear means what? The day of posting and the day of meeting is excluded. So 6 days in November plus 17th. Okay, 17, 18, 19, 20. 4 days here plus 11 days, which comes to how many days? Exactly 21 days. But it was posted. When notice is posted, we need 48 hours for service. So it should be 21 days plus 48 hours. Is it 21 days exactly? In 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 20, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. This comes to how many days? 15 plus 6. 21 days. It's exactly 21 days, but 48 hours is not left. So whether the meeting is validly called? No. If there is a shortfall, state how many days. It is shorter by 2 days or 48 hours. Can the delay be condoned? Yes. In case of AGM, 95% of the members entitled to vote should agree. In other meeting, if the company has share capital, majority in number and holding not less than 95% of the voting paid up capital as gives them a power to vote. And if the company has no share capital, members holding not less than 95% of the total voting power as gives them a power to vote. But you only, if you have a right to vote on that matter, you can only give your consent for that matter and not for other matters. That means if you don't have a right to vote on every matter, then your consent will be taken only for the matter where you have a right to vote. Home Limited served a notice of a general meeting upon its members. The notice stated that following resolution will be considered. Resolution to increase the authorized capital and appointment and fixation of remuneration as an auditor of an auditor. A shareholder complained that the amount of proposed increase in remuneration was not specified. Well, first of all, the first one is a special business. And for this, it is mandatory that we should give a special explanatory statement. Second one is just an ordinary business, and for ordinary business, we don't have to give an explanatory statement. So shareholder is right for this, but not right for this. But the notice was sent where explanatory statement was needed for the first matter, which was not given. So if we put it together, notice was sent for both of it, and for the first one, it was not given. So obviously, the notice is not valid. KMN Limited scheduled its annual general meeting to be held on 11th March at 11 a.m. The company has 900 members. So if I have 900 members, what is my quorum? Quorum is 5 members personally present. The following were present: P1, P2, P3 shareholders. So 3 are present. P4 representing 1, P5 representing DEF. Proxies, they are not counted. So 3, 4, 5. 5 are present. Whether quorum is present at the meeting? Yes. What will be your answer if P4 reached the meeting after 11:30? If he reached after 11:30, then 4 members are present. That means quorum is not present. In case of lack of quorum, what is the provisions applicable for an adjourned meeting in terms of date, time, and place? If the quorum is not present within half an hour from the time scheduled for the meeting stands adjourned to the next week, same day, same time. What happens if at the adjourned meeting also quorum is not present, the members present shall form the quorum. The articles of ABC requires the presence of 7 members to constitute quorum. The company has 870 members. 870 needs 5, but since article says 7, what will be the quorum? 7. The following are present: A, the representative of governor of Karnataka, representative of governor or president is counted as a member personally present. PNC preference shareholders, since they don't have a right to vote, they are not counted. D, representing Green and Blue Limited, 2. If I'm representing 2 companies, I will be counted as 2 for both of them. I'll be counted separately. Proxies are not counted. So how many are present? 3. Is the quorum present? No, quorum is not present, right? Samyak Limited is a company engaged in the business of manufacturing papers. Explain the provisions related to section 103. Please, we are not going into this. Oh, we just did this. The only difference is here it's Uttar Pradesh. That's it. See, it's given presence of 7 members. Same question. Explain the provisions relating to quorum having total 30 members, of which 2 members are body corporates and 1 member is president. Whether we already discussed this. Not going into direct questions. PQ Limited is a public company having a registered office in Mumbai. It has 3680. Okay. 3680 members. Generally, whenever they talk about number of members, no, there's a very, very clear idea that the question may be on quorum. 3680 means quorum should be 15 members personally present unless article says something more. Company sent notice to all its members for its AGM to be held on 2nd September at 11 a.m. at its registered office. On the day of the meeting, there were only 12 members personally present up to, so time was 11, meeting at 11:30. Only 12 members were present. The chairman adjourned the meeting to the same day at the same time, and at the adjourned meeting, only 10 were present. The chairman initiated the meeting. So, if within half an hour from the time scheduled the quorum is not present, the meeting stands adjourned to the next week, same day, same time. If at the adjourned meeting also quorum is not present, whoever is present shall form the quorum. So, comment whether the AGM conducted after adjournment is valid. Yes, whoever is present shall form the quorum. Comment whether the AGM. What would be your answer if it was a private company? The quorum would have been two. And in that case, no need of adjournment. The chairman need not have adjourned the original meeting. See, shared surge. A shareholder gives a notice for inspecting proxies 5 days before the meeting is scheduled and approaches the company 2 days before the scheduled meeting for inspection of the same. What is the legal position regarding relating to his action? Well, as far as inspection of proxies is concerned, a member can inspect the proxies provided he gives a 3 days notice. Here he has given us 5 days notice, so fine. But inspection can be done 24 hours before the meeting till the conclusion of the meeting. Here he wants to inspect 2 days before the meeting. That cannot be done. It can be only 24 hours before the meeting. Company received a proxy form 54 hours before the time fixed from the start. The company refused to accept the form on the grounds that proxy must be filled 60 hours before the start of the meeting. Well, as per Act, 48 hours is given, and Act very clearly says if the articles specify a higher period, it shall be deemed as if 48 hours is given. So if they have deposited 54 hours before the meeting, it's valid. So can he compel the company? Yes, the proxy holder can compel the company to admit the proxy. Happy Limited received a proxy form 54 hours before. Oh, same question. A general meeting was scheduled to be held on 15th April at 3 p.m. As per the notice, the members who are unable to attend the meeting can appoint a proxy, and the proxy forms should be sent to the company to reach at least 48 hours before the meeting. X, a member of the company, appoints Y as his proxy, and the proxy form dated 10/4/2017 was deposited by Y with the company at its registered office on 11/4. So it was deposited. Meeting is on 15th, he deposited on 11th. Valid. Similarly, another member, Mr. W, who also gives two separate proxies to two individuals, M and N. M's was deposited on 12th and N's was deposited. Now, in case of multiple proxy, the second proxy, that is the later in time, is valid, but it should be at least 48 hours before the meeting. Later in time is N, so N should be valid. But it was not 48 hours before. Meeting is on 15th, this was on 14th. So, can N's proxy be valid? No. All the proxies Y, M, and N were present at the meeting. Who will be allowed to attend? Y and M will be allowed to attend. Again, direct question. Let's go to the next one. In an AGM of Vrinda Limited having a share capital, 80 members present in person holding more than the chairman of the meeting rejected the request on the ground that persons only the members present in person can. This is wrong because section 109 allows the member proxy to also demand for a poll. And if they demand for a poll, it's valid. In AGM, during the process of poll, the members who earlier demanded want to withdraw it. The chairman of the meeting rejected the request on the ground that once poll started, it cannot be withdrawn. Not valid. The poll can be demanded at any time, even withdrawn at any time. So you cannot reject. Mr. Pink held 100 partly paid up shares of Red Limited. The company asked him to pay the final call money on the shares due to some unavoidable circumstances. He was unable to pay the amount of all money to the company. At a general meeting of the shareholders, the chairman At a general meeting of the shareholders, the chairman disallowed him to cast his vote. As per section 106, a member can be disallowed to cast his vote if it is authorized in the articles only on two grounds. He owes some money to the company or company exercises a lien over the shares. The chairman disallowed on the grounds that articles do not permit a shareholder to vote if he has not paid the calls on the shares. Mr. Pink contested the decision. The decision of the chairman is absolutely correct, right? Under section 106, I can actually stop you. X, a member of LKM Limited, is holding 250 shares which are partly paid. The company held its general meeting where voting right was denied to X, claiming he has not paid the calls on the shares. Oh, so we have already discussed. A and his wife B has joint demat account in Alpha Investment. In such a case, who will cast the vote in e-voting system? Generally, in case of joint holders, on the basis of seniority, the vote is cast. Seniority means the person whose name appears first. So whoever's name appears first will vote. AGM is going to held. Then what will be the e-voting period and time of closing? Minimum 3 days before the meeting, and on 6/9/20 at 5 p.m. it should close. So if I say 3 days, that means what? 6/5/4 minimum. From 4th it should start, and at on 6 at 5 p.m. it should close. If a member of a listed company has casted, okay, I'm not going into this direct questions. Prabhas Limited is a company having Prabhas Limited is a company having its shares listed on a recognized stock exchange. The company has 5,000 members. The AGM of the company is to be held on 7/9/22. As per the remote, please, we are not going into that. Okay? Listed company has to give the option of e-voting. XYZ Energy Limited set up with the object of setting up a windmill project, raised money from public through prospectus and still has unutilized money out of the money raised. XYZ Energy Limited proposes to change its object, and for this purpose consent of shareholders have to be obtained by passing a special resolution by postal ballot. The procedure. So it's again a direct question, you just have to give the procedure. Prakash has some of his friends, and some of his friends are members of Focus Limited, a company with a paid up share capital of 1 crore. They all intend to propose a resolution at the forthcoming general meeting, which is going to be held in CP, New Delhi, Connaught Place, New Delhi. That is the place where the registered office is situated. Kindly provide guidance to Prakash and his friends on the requisite minimum. So, if it's members circulation resolution by past circulation, that is under section 111, how many can request? 1/10 of the paid up share capital that gives them a right to vote. What are the points to be remembered here? The points to be remembered are two or more copies of the requisition are required to be signed, by they must contain the signature of all the requisitionists. It must be deposited at the registered office. If it is a requisition requiring notice of a resolution, it should be deposited 6 weeks before the meeting. If no such notice is required, 2 weeks before the meeting. And you should pay money to the company to combat with the expenses. Members of ZA Limited holding less than 1% of total voting power want the company to give a special notice to move a resolution for appointment of an auditor. This is again a direct question. I'm not going into this question. Members of, so explain, so this is again a direct question. Benson Limited issued a notice with agenda for 9 business to be transacted at its AGM. Chairman decided to move the resolutions for all the 9 business together to save time of the members present. Examine the validity. To be transacted at its two business were regarding appointment of Mr. Sahu and Mr. Pranav. Now see, when I want to appoint 2 or more directors, it cannot be passed through a single resolution. Why? I may want to appoint Sahu but not Pranav. You may want to appoint Pranav but not Sahu. Now, to appoint one, I have to forcefully appoint the other. So, a single resolution cannot be passed to appoint 2 or more directors. However, if we have already passed a resolution where all the members have agreed to pass a single resolution, then we can appoint through single resolution. Otherwise, no. All direct questions. At the general meeting of XYZ Limited, a matter was to be passed by a special resolution. Out of 40 members present, 20 voted in favor, 5 voted against, and 5 were invalid. So 20 voted in, 5 voted against whether the special resolution has been passed. Okay, the remaining 10 abstained from voting. The chairman of the meeting declared the resolution as passed. Whether the special resolution is passed. 5 against. I need minimum 3 in favor, 15 in favor, 20 is in favor. Is it passed? Yes. In general meeting of Amit Limited, the chairman decided to directed to exclude certain matters detrimental to the interest of the company from the minutes. Manoj, a shareholder, contended that the minutes must contain fair and correct summary. Decide whether contention of Manoj is maintainable. Yes, it should contain a true and fair view. But if the chairman feels that any matter is detrimental to the interest of the company or is irrelevant or is against the interest of or is what you say is a defamatory of any person, then he can actually exclude those matters. So contention of Manoj is not correct. Zainab Limited held its AGM. On the meeting was presided over by Mr. Venkat, the chairman of the company's board of directors. On September 17, Mr. Venkat, without signing the minutes, left India and took his father, who fell sick in London. Referring state the manner in which the minutes should be signed in the absence of Mr. Venkat and by whom. So actually, it should be signed by the chairman within 30 days of the meeting. But in case of inability of the chairman, it shall be signed by any person authorized by the board, any director authorized by the board. Mr. Krish, a shareholder of ABC Limited, has made a request to the company for providing a copy of the minute book of general meeting. His name is already entered in the register of members of the company. Whether Mr. Krish is entitled to receive a copy? Yes, a member under section 119, a member may demand a copy of the minute book. Within 7 days, company should provide him a copy, but he has to pay the charges, which is not more than 10 rupees per page. Okay, same thing. Mr. Laurel, a shareholder in Hardly Limited, a listed company, desires to inspect the minute book of general meeting and to have a copy of some resolutions. In the light of the provisions of the Companies Act, answer the following: whether he can inspect the minute book and to have copies of the minutes at free of cost. He can inspect, but if he wants copies, he must pay for it, not free of cost. Whether he can authorize his friend to inspect the minute book on behalf of him by signing a power of attorney. As such, the Act does not talk about anything where authorization can be given by a member to any other person. So, no, he cannot authorize anyone else to go and check on his behalf. Pristine Limited, a listed public company, conducted its AGM on 31st August. However, 10 days have passed, but it has not filed its report on AGM. The report on AGM should be filed within 30 days. So from 31st August, 30 days, that is, it should be filed last by 30th September. So we still have time to file it. In general meeting, the shareholders passed a special resolution. There were 30 members present, out of which 15 voted in favor, 6 voted against, and 5 were found invalid. The remaining 4 did not vote. The chairman declared the resolution as passed. 6 voted against. I need 3 times of 6, which is 18. 15 voted in favor. Validity of the chairman's decision, not valid. Special resolution is not passed. With this, we are done. And I just want to discuss these few questions. This was there in the June 24 paper, but I have not yet added in the scanner. So I just wanted to discuss these questions also. To see this question, in the circumstances where Mr. M and Mr. P, joint holders of Primal Private Limited, holding 500 equity shares, have conflicting views on one special business. At the EGM, Mr. M is endorsing the resolution and P is dissenting. Determine the procedure for casting the vote. In case of joint holders, generally the joint holders should agree to the votes. However, in case they do not agree, they do not go on the same voting, then the person in order of seniority shall get the right to vote. So, whoever's, and seniority means not by age, whoever's name appears first shall have a right to vote on this matter. QL Limited is a public limited company incorporated in Surat, Gujarat with 1200 members. 1200 members means what? I need the presence of 15 members. Was convened in which 14 members were present in person. Mr. Mohan was acting as an authorized representative of two body corporates who are members of QL Limited. So that means 14 members were present, assuming Mr. Mohan was one of it. So Mr. Mohan will be counted as two. So how many are present? 50. Shyam, one of the important members, was absent. The chairman, Mr. Rahi, adjourned the meeting, taking the doesn't matter whether a person, however important, you may be everything to the company, you can still not adjourn the meeting if on the grounds quorum, because Mr. Sham is not present, because quorum is present. To the same day place, so the members present at the meeting waiting to attend oppose the decision, submitting that the majority of them present now shall be unavailable next week. Referring whether the requisite quorum was present, yes. Whether Mr. Rahi could adjourn the meeting in the current scenario, no. He could not adjourn the meeting in the current scenario. LKJ Limited is a company having a paid up share capital of 12.5 crores with total number of members being 3,500. So 3,500 means quorum is 15. The board of directors have called a meeting to be conducted on 6/5/23 at 2 p.m. On the date of the meeting, the required quorum was not present within half an hour and hence the meeting was adjourned to the next week. Same day, same time. What will be the fate of the meeting in case two members in person were present at the adjourned meeting? If the meeting is adjourned due to lack of quorum and at the adjourned meeting also quorum is not present, the members present shall form the quorum. In case on 6/5, total of 16 members were present, but the chairman, owing to the unruly behavior of some of the members, adjourned the meeting and at the adjourned meeting only 3 members are present. What will be the fate of such? The meeting cannot continue. When the meeting is adjourned due to lack of quorum, then at the adjourned meeting, if quorum is not present, doesn't matter, the members present shall form the quorum. But if the meeting is adjourned due to any other reason, then at the adjourned meeting also we need the presence of quorum. And if quorum is not present, meeting cannot continue. In case if the meeting was called by the requisitionist under section 100 of the Act and such meeting the quorum was not present, what will be the fate of the meeting? The meeting shall be cancelled. When the meeting is called by the requisitionist and the quorum is not present, the meeting shall be cancelled. So with this, we are done with the discussion of all the questions of the chapter meetings, management and administration from section 96 to 122. I hope you are studying, everything is going good, happy learning and stay motivated. Thank you so much.